From translation, ISV International Standard Version, this 149th day of the year, today we are reading passages Nehemiah 12-13, Nehemiah chapter 12, verses 1 to 47. These were the priests and Levites who returned with Zerubbabel son of Shealtiel, and with Jeshua, Sariah, Jeremiah, Ezra, Amariah, Malach, Hattush, Shechaniah, Rehum, Meremoth, Iddo, Ginnathan, Abijah, Mijamin, Mardiah, Bilgah, Shemaiah, Joyarib, Jediah, Sallu, Amok, Hilkiah, and Jediah. These were the leaders of the priests and their brothers in the days of Jeshua, and with them were the Levites. Jeshua, Binnui, Kadmiel, Sherebiah, Judah, and Mattaniah, who, with his brothers, was in charge of the songs of thanksgiving, and Bakbukiah and Unni, their brothers, stood opposite them in the worship service. And Jeshua was the father of Joachim, Joachim was the father of Eliashib, Eliashib was the father of Joiada, Joiada was the father of Jonathan, and Jonathan was the father of Jaddua. And in the days of Joachim there were priests, heads of fathers' houses, Sariah, Jeremiah, Ezra, Amariah, Malach, Hattush, Shechaniah, Rehum, Meremoth, Iddo, Ginnathan, Abijah, Mijamin, Mardiah, Bilgah, Shemaiah, Joyarib, Jediah, Sallu, Amok, Hilkiah, Jediah. These were the heads of the priests and their brothers in the days of Joachim. And of the Levites, Shemaiah, Aziel, Jeshua, Binnui, Kadmiel, Sherebiah, Judah, and Mattaniah, who, with his brothers, was in charge of the songs of thanksgiving, and Bakbukiah, Unni, their brothers, stood opposite them in the worship service. And the Levites in the days of Eliashib, Joiada, and Johanan, and Jaddua, were recorded as heads of fathers' houses. Likewise, the priests were recorded in the reign of Darius the Persian, and the sons of Levi were recorded in the book of the Chronicles until the days of Johanan, the son of Eliashib. And the leaders of the Levites were Hashabiah, Sherebiah, and Jeshua the son of Kadmiel with their brothers opposite them, to praise and give thanks, according to the command of David the man of God, watch. And Mattaniah, Bakbukiah, Obadiah, Meshullam, Talmon, and Akkub were gatekeepers who kept the storehouses at the gates. These were in the days of Joiada, and Joiada, who was the son of Eliashib the high priest, and was the brother of Jaddua the son of Johanan, the son of Eliashib the high priest. And at the dedication of the wall of Jerusalem, they sought out the Levites from all their places, to bring them to Jerusalem to celebrate the dedication with gladness, with songs of thanksgiving, and with the music of cymbals, harps, and lyres. And the sons of the singers gathered together from the region around Jerusalem, from the villages of the Netophathites, from Beit Gilgal, and from the fields of Jebah and Asmaveth, for the singers had built for themselves villages around Jerusalem. And the priests and the Levites purified themselves, and purified the people, the gates, and the wall. Then I brought up the leaders of Judah onto the wall, and appointed 2 large choirs that gave thanks. One went to the right hand on the wall toward the dung gate, and after them went Hashiah, and half of the leaders of Judah, and Azariah, Ezra, Meshullam, Judah, Benjamin, Shemaiah, and Jeremiah, and certain of the priests' sons with trumpets. Zechariah the son of Jonathan, the son of Shemaiah the son of Mattaniah, the son of Micaiah, the son of Zachar, the son of Asaph, and his brothers, Shemaiah, Aziel, Milalai, Gilalai, Mari, Nethanel, Judah, and Hanani, with the musical instruments of David the man of God. And Ezra the scribe went before them. And at the fountain gate they went up straight before them by the stairs of the city of David, at the ascent of the wall, above the house of David, even to the water gate on the east. And the other choir went to the left, I myself also and half of the people with me, over against the wall above the tower of the ovens, as far as the broad wall, and above the gate of Ephraim, and above the gate of Yeshana, and above the fish gate, and the tower of Hananel, and the tower of Me, even to the sheep gate, and they stood at the guard house. And both the choirs of those who gave thanks took their stand in the house of God. So I caused one choir to go on the right hand on the wall toward the ascent of Ophel, and all of them over against the wall. And the choir that went to the south side of the city went over to the king's gate, and stood there. And then they went up by the steps of the city of David, by the ascent of the wall, above the house of David, even to the water gate on the east. And the choir that went to the north side of the city went over to the gate of Ephraim, and then to the gate of Yeshana, and then to the gate of the produce, and then to the gate of the guard, and they stood by the gate of the guard. And both the choirs of those who gave praise and gave thanks to God, and the people rejoiced, for God had made them rejoice with great joy, and the women also and the children rejoiced, so that the joy of Jerusalem was heard even far away. And on that day they appointed men in their storehouses, for the contributions, for the firstfruits, and for the tithes, to gather from the fields of the cities the portions specified by the law for the priests and Levites, for Judah was given to the king's portion, and for the priests. And they performed the service of their God and the service of purification, and the Levites and all the singers who performed the service of God, as did the gatekeepers and the Nethinim, and all those who separated themselves from the peoples of the lands to the law of God, and their sons and their daughters, everyone who had knowledge and understanding. For in the days of David and Asaph there were directors of the singers, and songs of praise and thanksgiving to God. And all Israel in the days of Zerubbabel and in the days of Nehemiah gave the portions for the singers and the gatekeepers, and the Nethinim as each day required, and they set apart the holy things for the Levites, and the Levites set apart the holy things for the sons of Aaron. Nehemiah chapter 13, verses 1 to 31. On that day they read in the book of Moses in the audience of the people, and in it was found written that no Ammonite or Moabite should ever enter the assembly of God, for they had not met the sons of Israel with bread and water, but had hired Balaam against them to curse them. However, our God turned the curse into a blessing. So when they heard the law, they separated all the mixed multitude from Israel. Now before this, Eliashib the priest, who was appointed over the chambers of the house of our God, being related to Tobiah, had prepared a large room for him, where they had previously put the grain offerings, the frankincense, the articles, the tithes of grain, the new wine, and the oil, which were commanded to be given to the Levites, and the singers, and the gatekeepers, and the offerings for the priests. But during all this time I was not in Jerusalem, for in the 32nd year of Artaxerxes the king I went to the king. And after some time I asked leave of the king, and I came to Jerusalem, and I found out the evil that Eliashib had done for Tobiah, by preparing a chamber for him in the courts of the house of God. And it grieved me sore, and I threw out all the household furniture of Tobiah out of the chamber. Then I commanded, and they cleansed the chambers, and I brought back there the vessels of the house of God, with the grain offering and the frankincense. And I found out that the portions for the Levites had not been given them, so that the Levites and the singers who did the work had fled, each one to his field. So I contended with the rulers and said, Why is the house of God forsaken? And I gathered them together and set them in their places. Then all Judah brought the tithes of the grain, and the new wine and the oil into the storehouses, and I made treasurers over the storehouses. Shelemiah the priest and Zadok the scribe, and of the Levites Pedaiah, and next to them was Hanan the son of Zaccur, the son of Mattaniah. For they were counted faithful, and their office was to distribute to their brothers. Remember me, O my God, concerning this, and do not blot out my good deeds that I have done for the house of my God, and for its services. In those days I saw in Judah some people treading wine presses on the Sabbath, and bringing in sheaves, and loading donkeys with wine, grapes, figs, and all kinds of burdens, which they brought into Jerusalem on the Sabbath day. And I testified against them in the day in which they sold provisions. There were also Tyrians living in Jerusalem, who brought fish and all kinds of wares, and sold them on the Sabbath to the sons of Judah, and in Jerusalem. Then I contended with the nobles of Judah, and said to them, What evil thing is this that you do, and profane the Sabbath day? Did not your fathers do this, and did not our God bring all this evil upon us, and upon this city? Yet you are kindling wrath on Israel by profaning the Sabbath. And it came to pass, when the gates of Jerusalem began to be dark before the Sabbath, that I commanded that the gates should be shut, and charged that they should not be opened till after the Sabbath. And I set some of my servants over the gates, that no burden should be brought in on the Sabbath day. So the merchants and sellers of all kinds of wares lodged outside Jerusalem once or twice. Then I testified against them and said to them, Why do you lodge at the wall? If you do so again, I will lay hands on you. From that time they did not come on the Sabbath. And I commanded the Levites that they should purify themselves, and that they should come and keep the gates to sanctify the Sabbath day. Remember me, O my God, also concerning this, and have mercy on me according to the greatness of your mercy. In those days also I saw Jews who had married women of Ashdod, of Ammon, and of Moab. And their children spoke half in the language of Ashdod, and could not speak the language of Judah, but according to the language of each people. And I contended with them, and cursed them, and struck some of them, and pulled out their hair, and made them swear by God, saying, You shall not give your daughters to their sons, nor take their daughters for your sons or for yourselves. Did not Solomon king of Israel sin by such things? Yet among many nations there was no king like him, and he was beloved by his God, and God made him king over all Israel. Nevertheless even him, the foreign women caused to sin. Shall we then listen to you and do all this great evil, to transgress against our God in marrying foreign women? And one of the sons of Joiada, the son of Eliashib the high priest, was the son-in-law of Sanballat the Horonite, therefore I chased him from me. Remember them, O my God, because they have defiled the priesthood and the covenant of the priesthood and of the Levites. Thus I cleansed them from everything foreign, and I appointed the duties of the priests and Levites, each in his work. And for the wood offering at appointed times, and for the firstfruits, remember me, O my God, for good.